My name is Amroz. I'm editor of TES, and I'm also a judge on the Global Teacher Prize. And it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome and introduce Colin Hegarty today to give you a masterclass in maths. Let me just tell you a little about Colin. He quit his job in the city at the accountancy firm Deloitte and took a significant pay cut to pursue greater job satisfaction in the classroom. And by day, you'll find him teaching GCSE and A-level maths in London to 11 to 18-year-olds. And by night, he creates award-winning maths videos, which have received over 5 million views online. Not only has he been awarded the National UK Teacher of the Year prize, Colin is now a top 10 finalist in the Global Teacher Prize. So enjoy this masterclass with Colin, and you might just find that equations are empowering. Over to you, Colin.
Thank you so much for sparing me the time this fine day. I'm Colin Hegarty from the UK, and I wanted to talk about my, in bracket, maths classroom. Maths for me is really special, but it's also just a vehicle. I use it to teach other things than just maths itself, and I hope I'll explain that later. For me, it's a great tragedy that often the first time in life a child realizes that some things in life they just can't do is in the maths classroom. That is tragic for many, many reasons. And there are 3 main reasons why that makes me really sad. The first is fairly obvious, but it's worth saying, the utility of maths in the world. Maths is the mother of all sciences. It's the language of the universe. It's crucial in so many fields: economics, computing, engineering, etc. The other day, one of the top 50 finalists, a Russian teacher, myself and him couldn't communicate. I couldn't speak Russian, he couldn't speak English. We sat on the coach and we did maths together. It was amazing. And that's one thing. Utility is all well and good. The second thing, more powerful for me, is social mobility. Maths is often the glass ceiling that stops many people not being able to access well-paid jobs, lucrative careers, and decision-making and influencing careers. And that's really sad. In the UK, children from disadvantaged backgrounds do significantly worse than children from more affluent backgrounds in maths, and that's a real tragedy. But above all of them, for me, is the loss of empowerment. Imagine you're a young child and you're 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, and you find out you can't do maths. Okay, you can't do maths. So maybe utility and social mobility might be restricted. But something much more precious has been lost. You've also learned that there are other things you can't do. And the whole point of this conference and summit, and everything that teachers do, is about empowering children to make the decisions to influence their world. So if they think they can't do maths, they're going to learn that there's other things they can't do. And that's where the real tragedy lies. We don't want to disempower our children. We don't want to limit our children. We want to empower them. And maths does that, and it's so sad because it's such an amazing subject, and it shouldn't. My most beautiful formula in the world isn't E equals MC squared, F equals MA, anything like that. It's the following. If you have belief in yourself that you can do something worthwhile, you have to have this too. You're prepared to work unbelievably hard, and you've got people around you that will support you. You can succeed in life. And that there is maths describing my life and everything about my life. That, believe it or not, a Philip Seymour Hoffman lookalike was me when I was a little chap. I was born and raised in a one-bed council flat in Kilburn in a fairly difficult area back then of London. My house, my flat where I lived, is smaller than the room I have upstairs right now. And my mum, my dad, my sister, and myself lived in one bedroom. Poor mum and dad, they couldn't have had much of a life for quite a few years. But after the gift of life and the gift of love, which I was so lucky to get, the next most important gift you can give someone in life is the gift to love to learn. Because if you love to learn, you have the love to better your life. You have the love to make a change in the world. And they gave me that. So I'm here, lucky enough today to talk to you fine people, all because of my parents and the luck I had in life. There's nothing special going on in this brain at all. It's just pure luck. But it really upsets me that children mightn't have the luck I had. So I want to talk a little bit about a few things I do in the maths classroom, and they're all impinged upon one thing that I believe makes a great teacher. A lot of people ask me what makes a great teacher, and there's loads of things, and I'm sure you've all got your own opinions. Outstanding subject knowledge, passion, inspiration, loving working with children. But for me, there's one that stands out above all others, and it transforms my maths classroom, and it transforms my life. The single most important thing I believe a teacher should have is empathy. And my favorite quote is from To Kill a Mockingbird, where we have Atticus say, you never really understand the person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. When you do that, you understand how someone else feels. You can understand how someone else thinks. You can help them in the way they need to be helped. Or more importantly, you can help them help themselves in the way they need to be helped, if you understand that. So, a couple of things I do. The very first, when I take a class, everyone has to write to me a letter. And in that letter, they have to tell me about themselves, about their dreams for the future, but really importantly in maths, because I know there's a lot of issues in maths, what is it that makes them so scared to be in the room with me right now? And I find the most unbelievable things. You will have a rowdy boy who you think is a bit of a bad boy and cool and everything, him and his friend. He'll write to me and say, please don't sit me next to my friend because I want to learn. It happens. He would never say that publicly. Empathy, allowing me to see into his soul, into his mind, allows me to do the right thing for that boy and move him apart from someone else. People tell me, sir, please, whatever you do not ask me 7/8. It makes me feel sick to my stomach, and I will misbehave in order to get out of the class before you ask me that question. When I know that, imagine how empowering that is for me. And I have all sorts of stuff. People tell me they want to be a rocket scientist. I make sure the lessons have rocket science in them. We talk about rockets, whatever it is. So that, for me, is a huge enabler in my classes. The one thing I hear so much is, you either can or can't do maths. I'm one of the non-maths people. That's almost universally what they write to me. They always say that to me. So stories form the basis of the first week of any maths class for me, and then throughout the rest of the time teaching. Wall of inspiration on the back. Talking about all people and how hard they've had to work and how hard they've worked despite their circumstances to achieve great things is crucial for me. Because if a child hates maths already, it's a difficult circumstance. Let's give you an example of other people that have pulled themselves out of that. One of my favorites is Michelangelo. We all say simple statements like, he was God's painter. He was born with a paintbrush in his hand, some people say, which wouldn't have been good if it was true for Mummy Michelangelo. But regardless, the truth is, if you hear what he said, if people knew how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, they wouldn't think my work so beautiful at all. Now, that's what we need to tell kids. Not X Factor, Pop Idol, like you win, you come out of nowhere. You've got to work really hard, and you can do it despite your circumstances. And every great person has done that. They've worked hard, and they've dealt with failure. And that's what a child needs to do. Now, this is one thing I think would revolutionize maths classrooms. I'm going to talk about it now. Children often say things like, I'm petrified to be singled out in the maths classroom for you to ask me a question. Or some people say, he never asked me. They want to hear more of themselves. So, if you asked me one tool I would need in any maths classroom, iPad, anything else, it would be something that the primary schools use to such amazing effect. This little thing here transforms the maths classroom. It should be in every maths classroom in the whole world. And I want to tell you why it transforms it. This boy wouldn't do maths with anyone in school until he got this in his hand. Now, when I asked him to write me the letter, do you know what he told me? I shouldn't mention too many specifics about him, but he You wouldn't think that this was the answer to it. He didn't like making mistakes and writing them on pieces of paper. It made him feel bad about himself, so he wouldn't write in the book. You thought he wouldn't write in the book because he was lazy, but he told me the truth. When he had this, and you make a mistake, it's gone. It changed him. So easy. I ask children simple questions like, I say, what's 2 add 17? It's amazing. I say, explain what's in your head. And so if I say, what's 2 add 17, and someone says 19, you go, yeah, we're doing so well. What about everyone else I didn't ask? What about them? Or sometimes, even if they say 19 and I don't ask why. This is an example I hear so much. I don't know if you understand the problem with that, but when I see that, I see a huge problem. The child is counting up 17 places from 2. Now, what would happen? So they're going 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How long that takes? What if I said, what's 2 add 9,728? They're not going to be able to count up. But this window into their soul, through empathy, shows me that I need to help that child. I need to help that child understand something really, really crucial in maths. So basic. Addition is what we call commutative. 2 add 17 is the same as 17 add 2. When a child knows that, they're liberated, they're flying. It's so simple, but you would never know that without the window to their mind, and this is the key to that. Absolute petrified of making mistakes. That's another thing. Maths is right or wrong, and we focus on, have you got the right answer, have you got the wrong answer, and that's a terrible feeling. No one likes to make a mistake, and it feels bad. Maths isn't about being right or wrong. It's not about the answer. It's about how you got to the answer and what you did to get there. If you read widely about successful people, they say 2 things are always their attributes. They work like a dog, and they deal with failure well, and they've learned how to deal with failure well. So everywhere in my classroom are stories like sometimes what we call failure is just a struggle called learning. Failure is fine. If you're failing and you're trying, you've got the opportunity to learn. It's a great thing to do. Things like this, like, I know it's really simple, but if you think about it, if I said to a child, what's 5 times 2, and they said it was 7, and it's so easy to go, no. Next, 10? Yeah. It's so easy to do that. But actually, if you think about it, look at the difference between 5 times 2 and 5. It's 45 degrees of a rotation of the same sign. And actually, multiplication is repeated addition, so they're actually quite close. They don't understand the mathematical concept, and it's really important to talk them through that and hear what's going on in their head, either through a voice or through this. And then finally, my really big project at the moment came from one special student and hearing his story. So he came to me 4 years ago to say that his father was passing away, and he was doing his A-level maths, the course you do before university, and he said, how am I going to keep up with my studies, sir? Which is pretty incredible, because life is treating you a very cruel blow, and you still have the strength to think about that. So it seemed obvious to me what to do. I look on YouTube and I want to find something out. I learned how to do I learned how to fix my bike and all sorts. So I stayed up really late for many, many months, and it took me a long, long time, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I made his entire maths A-level available online. Students from all over the world started using these videos, and to the extent that in the last 4 years, they've been used in over 200 countries. I've made 2,000 videos. We've got 50,000 subscribers, 6.3 million views. And it works out, it's a multiplier effect we were talking about yesterday. It works out 2,000 school years of learning has happened in 4 years because of that, which is an incredible multiplier. And just to say, by the way, I'm not an edtech evangelist. Yeah, this was built through necessity. I don't necessarily think technology is the solution to everything, but it certainly has a place. So what I've since this last year, 13 months and a day it took me, I've been building a website called hegartymaths.com with 21 students of mine in 2 rooms of my house, my kitchen and my upstairs room. And every day we work on building a maths website that we want to provide every child with the best quality maths teaching possible. This isn't me working with them in the kitchen. My wife, I can't believe she hasn't divorced me yet because she's getting proper stressed out. They're all coders, they're all mathematicians, and they're all want to learn how to run a business and how to do a social enterprise. And it upsets me, maths makes people feel like this, so I need to do something about it. And so they're on the journey with me doing something about it, but learning how to do something about the things that they'll care about in the future. It's everything you can learn in maths is explained in a new 10-minute video, and I've written 70,000 questions to match that content. I'm in a position now, and I'll just be totally honest about it because I've never got an opportunity like this ever. I've built it, and it's really amazing, and I think there's an opportunity to make a really big change at scale. But I need someone to help me make it free for people because I can't afford to run it because it costs a fortune to run the server costs. So if there's anyone out there that's interested in doing a project like this, let me know because I really want to bring it to as many people as I can. And these are the type of stories I get back. This is what maths is doing to people. A 32-year-old, he didn't do well at school. Looking back, a combination of factors. Wasn't mature enough, didn't receive the right encouragement at home, and something about teachers I won't say. Kids who grasped it the first time round were left behind. I did my GCSEs remembering opening my envelope with dread. I cried for hours. I wanted to attend college, but the grades weren't good enough. I found a lot of better jobs were simply close the door, but despite this, I became a police officer. He goes on to talk about how he wanted to be promoted to be a crash site investigator, and you need a lot of maths to be able to do that. And him and his daughter have been using the videos, and I've never met this chap, and he says something about, this is the sad bit, but that we need to change math. I thought I wasn't good enough for maths, but now I know I'm more than capable. And I think that there is talking about enabling. I'll get messages, cool messages through all the time from kids, which is really lovely, really lovely. This one here is real special. This girl took it in, I don't know this girl, she took it in her exam hall and she's leaving. She did this thing, and so maths used to be a sign of defeat. It just wouldn't add up, but now it's as easy as pie. Hegarty Maths has given me the confidence in these chairs. So that's, I'd love to be part of a revolution to change the story of maths a little bit. I don't think it needs to be so negative. I think that any child, barring some children, obviously there's cognitive difficulties that need to be said. I don't want to make anyone feel bad about themselves, but otherwise anyone can do maths. And I think that, yes, it can get you great jobs, and yes, it can get you access to good careers, but more than that, when we met at the Varkey Teacher Ambassador Conference, the one commonality that every teacher said they wanted to do is to give children, enable children to be change makers in their own life. So if 1 in 2 kids out there, let's say, are thinking they can't do maths, they're 1 in 2 kids that won't be the future change makers because they feel limited in their life. So it's really important we turn that around, we make maths doable, and we make children feel that they can change their lives and take control over what they do. So thank you very much for listening. Any questions? Is it? So I worked in finance because, in all honesty, my parents had sacrificed so much that it was the natural thing to do. It feels like you need to earn money to reward your parents for what. That's what we're trying to change here in this conference, aren't we? That's the whole point of this conference, that teaching should be thought of as good as accountancy, or teaching should be as good as a doctor, if not better. So I fell for this. I fell for that myself, and I thought it was the natural thing to do. Thankfully, my firm had a corporate responsibility scheme, and they let me read with a child 1 day a week. And when I started that 6 years in, because I was feeling a bit empty in the firm, in the sense that I felt it was a job, not a, what's the word, vocation, not a vocation. And the first day I did that, I quit my job the next day and retrained to be a teacher. Any other questions?
These videos are just being used in your state, or it's the outside?
So the YouTube video, if you go to YouTube Hegarty Maths, all the videos are there for free to access for anyone to do. The new website has like questions, and it has questions and videos and a lot more stuff on it. And that's like a school has to log on for that at the moment. But the videos are there for free anyway. But talking at someone's not the way to get them. That's only half the battle. Access is half the battle. They get to do maths as well. So that's why I spent the last 12 months making the other thing. But the other thing needs more thinking. I only finished it Monday before I flew out. So I need to think about how to do the right thing with it. I've made something that I think could make a profound difference in maths. Anyone that's got online ability. So I need to make a team, because the 21 kids and me and the other teacher in my house is not acceptable to run a game-changing organization. It's the start. So I need to get people to help me, because I haven't slept in years. So I need people to help me to do things like business and whatever you need to do. I need an office, and I need enough money to host it. The server costs go huge. If loads of people use it, I can't afford it, because I can't pay for that. So that, and the other thing, I'd like to make an offline version so that people that don't have the internet can use it as well. Huh? Oh, right. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. So A-level maths exam, the key is, so there's a lot of this, on YouTube, Hegarty Maths, you can go there and she will find a lot of the content available for her to support her. I would just say as well that she needs, students need more than just being told how to do it in the class one time. They need to immerse themselves in a subject like maths at that level. So she should go home and look at that and look at other materials. There's something called exam solutions and other ones in the UK that you should look at. And there's a lot of stuff out there that would help her in the home environment. And she just needs to practice a lot. I know it's not sexy maybe to say, but practice is really important to move from a novice to an expert, and you have to just do it. Thank you.